Like, so we're getting some really weird things. I think an update may be the issue. It could be my service provider. I'll get to the bottom of it, but thanks for bearing with us.
Thank you.
So, what I was going to say, is there a particularly interesting? Is there anything from the library sticks out?
The library here is fairly standard. It's some political type texts, sort of standard reading, as you would expect from a lord's chamber of waiting. There are some fiction books and tomes of lore, but it's mostly for display. Probably very few of the books have ever been read, although they are all immaculately dusted. The leather finely polished and oiled, and everything here is taken care of fastidiously.
Interesting.
And you're left in the chamber for a few long minutes while the Lord finishes attending something else. If there's anything you'd like to do with each other in private.
I will be actually penning out something in my logbook while we wait. Taking the quill from my hat and just scrawling something in.
Well, answer as Captain Ash is writing. What does your keen eye make of this place? It's certainly exquisite. Clearly.
It is at that. Which does seem... Well, I was going to say that seems a little odd. The inside does not match what the exterior of the city would lead you to believe. But then again, this is the only home we've been into. It's a little easy to... unfair to draw conclusions from only one domicile, especially for their leader. But again, doesn't it strike you as odd that the royal guard for the Baron are a bunch of green troops who have never whetted their steel?
Well, if they've never left this place, because I was perfectly fine fighting anywhere outside of this city. But inside, there's no compulsion. It's like something is holding me back.
Yes, I wish to get to the bottom of that.
I assume you're going to try to dismiss yourself before we're welcomed into his chambers?
If I may...
Depending...
Sorry, Cheshire.
Depending on what his plans are, if he wants a one-on-one dinner.
From the passion that you brought forth in his heart from your performance, I got the distinct impression that the Baron will quickly be dismissing the two of us.
All right, as long as you get your chance.
If I may make an observation, Etzer, place from the guards' frankness, openness, it may be just easier to outright ask why this place is so peaceful and tranquil. At least that way you'll see which side of the coin this place lies. If it is a place of tranquility and hospitality, or a more sinister, controlling, insidious.
True.
Cue insidious music.
But if they are motivated by less than noble intentions, would it be wise to tip our hand or onto them?
Well, you are the expert in intrigue. I am just a keen observer. He goes back to scrawling out some little notes.
Well, I mean, I can ask the Baron himself. Hopefully he'll give me a truthful answer. He wouldn't have invited us into his estate if he had anything to fear.
I do think that he would be willing to take you into his confidence, among other things.
Cheshire will walk over to one of the lounges, sit and still maintain proper posture. He is, after all, a guest and a very privileged individual and wouldn't want to be too comfortable, even if he is against conflict.
After long minutes waiting, the doors finally open and the Baron strides in, nodding to the servant behind him, who sort of backs out and closes the door behind them, leaving just him and the three of you together in this one room. He offers a nod to both Ash and Etzer before immediately making his way over to the chase, where Cheshire sits. And he sits down next to him. He's dressed quite regally, long coat, mostly dark colours, black, with the bright sort of scarlet accents sort of cross through the lapel. A little bit of gilded embroidery. It is, again, very beautiful in its plainness. His whole aesthetic seems to scream less is more, and it really does work for him. He's got just this little moustache, well oiled, sort of tweaked to a point. This tiny little goatee, also oiled and pointed. His hands are finely manicured. His clothes very like not ironed necessarily, but like pressed, steamed, straight. He does have a bit of a receding hairline, a bit of a widow's. The rest of his hair is slicked back, and that's same light oiling that the moustache and goatee is afforded. Welcome. That
Baron
was
Gunn. Pleased to see you again.
Shifts on his seat to face Cheshire more directly. Exquisite performance.
I'm not usually one to disappoint. These are my compatriots. They more than assisted with staging that show. So even though they did not get a direct invitation, I thought it would be fitting to bring them along. Captain Ash and Etzer. Etzer is a dear advisor, and Captain Ash has a rather interesting knack for cuisine, and he's good with his hands. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all. Not at all. Looking a bit starrily at Cheshire. Your friend here, Etzer, indeed was the one who suggested such a meeting would be fortuitous. And I must say I found myself quite intoxicated by your presence. And so I felt to sup upon it a bit longer.
Sorry. Cheshire maintains his composure like I failed to do.
Oh my!
Sits up a little bit straighter. Leans back just a little bit, his hands holding onto the front of the chair. Well, I'm thankful that you enjoyed the show as much as you did. And I must say, your estate is truly impressive. How did you come into such a position?
Born, raised.
Quite a lucky man. Cheshire slides a little bit closer to him.
In more ways than just that.
I am dying. Well, if that's the case, let's say we enjoy some dinner and we can talk about any number of topics. Get to know each other a bit more, given that our previous encounter was a little more one-sided.
I'd like that very much. Sort of gestures to Captain Ash. And said he was a cook.
Absolutely.
Did he prepare the cuisine of the performance?
By his own hand.
Then it would please me greatly if he did so again. I have quite the stocked kitchen for his to work his magic, as you have worked yours. He almost just passingly regards Etzer. And this other friend of yours. I owe him a debt for this meeting, but I am unsure of his purpose here.
Well, you have your guards, and I have mine.
Would it please you greater if we were to shed such things?
Shedding such things would be fine for me. But I'm fairly certain that's not the only thing that will be shed this evening.
Nods a bit. Give me a sec, I have to work up to this one. Modesty, first amongst them, I'm sure.
Maybe not first, but we'll see where it falls in the chain of events.
Then let us dine. My servants will show you the way to the kitchens, Monsieur Ash.
It would be my honour to prepare a meal that hopefully would delight one such as yourself.
Etzer,
Yes, Cheshire.
you can do as you please while we dine. Baron, my dear Etzer here has an eye for the exquisite, and as soon as he laid eyes upon your establishment, he just couldn't help himself but being thoroughly interested. Would he have leave to explore, per se?
I hope that you will indulge me in this. Your tapestries are exquisite. It's been so long since I've seen such refinement. I would be beside myself if I had to be deprived of such splendor.
Only the best from the cast of Shapers. You are more than welcome to peruse my collection. Most of them
Thank you,
gifts.
Mello.
Most of them. The Baron stands and moves back to the door. Opens it and issues some orders to some servants who come to show Captain Ash the way down to the kitchens, and sort of holds out his arm for Cheshire.
Cheshire would have stood up at the same time as the Baron, and after him interacting with the servants, would make his way through the open doorway with a gentle thank you and a small hand caressing of his forearm as he passed by.
He falls into step beside you and seeing that he knows the way, feels comfortable placing a soft palm on the small of your back, guiding you towards the dining area.
So, I'm looking forward to the meal. But if you were born into this, where's the rest of your family?
Unfortunately, I was an only child. Perhaps my family's reign has come to an end. We shall see. I have some youth in me still.
Double entendre for the win. That's fortunate that you still retain your vigor. But even so, I couldn't imagine one such as yourself would have a difficult time finding an heir. Or making one.
Perhaps that is a conversation best saved for the dining hall.
All right.
I have had a wife. Once.
I see. I did not mean to pry.
He shows you through to the dining room. Servants open the door for you, and he escorts you in. And it's this impossibly long, ridiculous table with fine polished mahogany with 3 settings. One at the head of the table for himself, one at his left for you, and to his right, a young vision of a girl who you had seen dangling off Ash's arm. She is holding a piece of paper and reading it over.
Before Cheshire would sit down, he would take his spot behind his chair to the left of Baron and address the girl. I don't believe we've had the formal pleasure of meeting. Cheshire Atara, how are you this evening?
She seems to have been lost in the paper, and when you address her, she notices that you're there and hurriedly stands, trying to maintain composure to herself. Paper sort of just dropped onto her plate, and she sort of gives you a curtsy. Her dresses follow the same color scheme as her father's. It's deep black with but there's a cut down one side where the outer skirting can part and reveal to the underskirting, which is that same bright scarlet red. There is no golden gilding sewn in anywhere, in any embroidery of any kind. But she does wear a long string of it's not a pearl necklace, it's a silver necklace, but with a large pearl sort of clipped into the end of it. She curtsies to you and introduces herself as Talia, daughter of her father, Talia Gauss. It's very nice to meet you. Your performance was amazing. I have never seen its like in all of the sea.
Pleased to meet you as well. I pride myself on offering performances that one would only dream of seeing once in their lifetime. With that, he waits for the Baron to take the chair at the head of the table before taking his own. As he sits down, his hands are folded in his lap. He's resting on the back of the chair, really enjoying the comfort. So, this is why you wanted to wait until we reached the dining room. I appreciate you being so forthright.
Yes. I have decided to leave it up to herself whether she wishes to follow in my footsteps. As it seems she has a eye for adventure that I do not share, but do not begrudge. Tell me, and he makes a gesture, and a servant comes over with a large silver bowl, sort of filled with steaming broth. So it just spoons a little bit out into the bowl in front of you. It's fine. Would it be wrong to call it China? You know what I mean, though. Like,
Yeah, dinnerware.
the exquisitely rich dinnerware that not named China because China doesn't exist in creation. We'll call it, I don't know, something.
Jadeware.
Jadeware. And just spoon some out into each of the bowls, and Talia and the Baron both sort of just sip some, and it just seems to be like a conversational on proper meal is being made. Meanwhile,
Sorry, go ahead.
It's not that the Baron is necessarily being rude, but his attention is very, very, very occupied. And so after the servants have seen Captain Ash from the room and he has left with Cheshire, pretty much just leaves you alone. There's no guards, no servants, there's no one around to sort of guide or direct you. Sort of free to do whatever you want.
All right. Well, good. That's actually sort of the best outcome that I was hoping for.
I like to play my part.
He's just gonna kind of make his way through the halls, giving the appearance that he's trying to pay attention to all the objects to art. But usually the more important and valuable things are stored underground. So he's going to try and find anything leading into a cellar or a basement, any stairs leading down.
Please give me a manipulation plus stealth roll. I will give you 1 point stunt. While you're doing that, Ash.
Quick question. How many hours has passed since I made the Serpent? Would you say?
Oh, it's you made the Serpent when you first arrived, late into the evening, so I'll say 4.
Fantastic.
4 at most.
Cool. I'll regain some of those motes then, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's 4 per hour, so that's a lot.
Is it 4 or 5?
Oh, sorry, yeah, 5. Sorry, 5 per hour because you haven't been sleeping.
No.
And I'm going to spend some motes on an excellency.
Do you have any particular plans for this dinner?
Yes.
Anything you want to achieve whilst conversations you want to have?
Oh, is that directed to me? Sorry, Elk.
Yes.
A couple of things I want to achieve. Primarily, I want to cook this banquet meal. The aim of to further increase the positive feelings towards myself and my circle. I don't know what that is. Ash doesn't know what that is, but that's effectively what I'm trying to do. Second, I'd like to do a flyby quip at the young lady while presenting the meal later on. And third, if I can fit it in, I'd like to craft a sheath for the guard outside. I have previously prepared the design while I was waiting in the guest room, reception room.
What materials are you going to use to make it?
Well, I'm going to ask for extra firewood and use the surplus ones that aren't suitable to using craftsman needs no tools to whip it up in between the meals. In between, so when I return after serving the meal, I'll do it then, using the spare wood. I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem with that after I create the banquet, if it goes well.
You have pretty much any ingredient you could desire or want to make this banquet. So the entree is taken care of already. They sort of had already had sort of plans in place prior to your arrival. So the entree is already done and served. It's like just a soft corn soup. But feel free to design a main and dessert. If it's particularly interesting, I'll give you crafting experience for it.
So, I do indeed have an idea. So what Ash is going to do is he's going to take various vegetables and he's going to chop them up into beams and he's going to stack them and he's going to throw them on this massive silver tray. And although it doesn't look like much, it's slowly but surely arrives these towers in a very orderly fashion. The more those around him see, the more they see the landscape of Vorai appearing as he creates the towering replica and food, these vegetables stacked, filled with meat, so each little tower is a little meal in itself, packed full of different spices and flavours. Out the dessert is the ocean, a silvery, sweet chocolate, glistening with a shiny surface just as the sun at twilight comes over it. And at the top of the buildings, you'll have some weird shapes that, when presented, will cast a poem in honour of Vorai, which will read the following. Tranquility, the crest held to the serpent's breast. Art shedded scales in its wakes, its embrace a peace coiled and sealed with a kiss. Order a glint in the serpent's eye, never shall a violent shadow be cast on Vorai. And that's pretty much the meal. Like, so I've combined the dessert on the same sort of thing, so it's pretty much the Vorai in a meal.
Really sucks Cheshire can't read that.
Okay, if you want to think up a presentation for when you walk into the room and something like that, I'll actually get you to roll craft cooking for this.
Yep.
I won't get you to roll for the sheath. If you want silver experience for it, I will give you some depending on how you present it to the guy. But I will get you to roll for the cooking. Your base difficulty 3 for the presentation you've chosen. I will give you a 2-point stunt for the presentation you've chosen, and which can be upgraded if the presentation itself is particularly good when you go and serve it out. Whilst you're getting all that rolled and done and root spent and that, Etza, did you get a result from your roll?
Yep, 7 successes.
It's pretty easy to move around, utterly unaccosted. The people here, it's not that they don't notice you there, but they've been advised that you're going to be sort of viewing the tapestries, looking at each of them with much enthusiasm and umming and ahhing and oohs, awe. So much so that they don't think to stop you. And as you move around the castle, you find much of the upper level is sort of meeting rooms and estates, and it's probably the richest section. The dining room is here on the upper level as well. The lower level contains the bedrooms, the living quarters, the servants' quarters are down one more level, which is sort of, it's not quite a basement, but it does sort of dip down into the ground. And amongst it all, there are sort of dotted storerooms down beneath the servants' quarters and around near where the kitchens that lead down into various storerooms, except there is one door that, during your look around, notice that nobody enters or leaves. It's not barred, It's locked, but no one ever goes in there. And so just cracking it open a little bit and sort of peeking inside, it's like stone steps that lead down further into the ground, further even than the light here can carry, because there's no torches or sconces or anything gracing the walls here. So any light that you had, you would need to take with you. Or writ upon your brow.
I'm gonna step into the stairwell and shut the door behind me once I'm sure it's firmly closed. I'm gonna activate my anima and use that to light my path.
One mo. The soft, small disc surrounded by the ring of the eclipse sends out a soft, white, almost silvery light. Like the... When you have an eclipse, the quality of light that reaches is just the corona of the sun itself, not any of the direct light. So it tends to take this sort of softer, almost silvery appearance. And that is the light that's cast about this room. And as you descend the stairs further and further, you're pretty sure you move down maybe 2-3 levels before it starts to even out. Feel quite far on the ground. The air here is quite cool. It's not quite misty, but there's no warmth down here. And the stairs haven't descended directly downwards. They, like you would expect a flight of stairs in, say, a building. Down, a platform, around, down, platform, around, down, so on and so forth. And at the end of all of this is yet another large double oak doorway. Not locked, not barred.
In for a penny, in for a pound. No reason to turn back now.
I am on the edge of my seat over here.
As you crack open these doors, your light filters out into this large, oval-shaped chamber. More tapestries and murals sort of etched and painted in fresco around the entire circumference. There's no other stairways or doorways out. This is the only entrance or exit. You should close the door behind you to secure the room. You glance around once more. A room that was empty now has a single figure in the middle. It's back to you. A long, white, silver cloak around its shoulders and a hood draped up over its head.
Excuse me, I do not mean to intrude. But I was hoping you could help me.
It turns, and you swear you see the glint of the morning sunrise peek out from under its hood. As a glowing honey lips smile. Meanwhile, Ash, was that 10 successes I saw?
That was 11 successes.
11.
I put a willpower into it because I wanted to cook a really good thing. I'm going to spend 10 silver because I feel this is more a banquet for a lord than an actual trivial meal. If that's okay with you, craftsman would need to know tools speeds up major things, so I feel like I'd be able to do it within the time. If that's fantastic.
Go for it. You're self-moderating by now. That's really good.
So as he makes way into the chamber, he gets one of the cook assistants to hold a lantern up, so it looks like a almost a procession scene of like a lighthouse coming on and lighting up the bay and the city of Vorai as it comes. He places it onto the centre of the banquet table. What better meal fit for the Lord of Vorai than one that embraces the tranquil majesty, the keen sense of its arts, and embodies the very order that we all seek to attain through our own paths. I give this as a gift of friendship. It will be a meal that you and those around the table will enjoy, and it will be lost in time and only a fond memory, a secret that you all share.
I might have to be more discerning about when I give out stunts if this is the kind of narrative that we're going to be playing with. I'm going to give that a 3-point stunt.
Wow, thank you.
First 3-pointer of the game. Whoop whoop! Predicted in the first session.
Yo, Plucky.
Whoop, whoop.
As you walk into the room and you finish your presentation, the artistry of your creation has utterly enamored the Baron. He is well and truly in your court, so to speak. The lady that sits to his right is almost embarrassed by your presence. Can't quite look at you directly. Stares up at you through her lashes. And idly fiddles with a piece of paper that she's been handling and folding and refolding. And you know it to be your poem.
Ash smiles, one of those smiles that reaches across the wordless void. It says, I told you we'd meet again. And this way lies adventure. Welcome. He respectfully stands waiting to either be dismissed or a response of the Lord, as is the etiquette.
Down in the chamber, Amber Glow peels back the hood. And you see its visage for the first time in its full glory. Impossibly beautiful features, that amber honey skin glowing in the light of its own hair, like each strand like a beam of sunlight softly wafting off its head and caressing its shoulders.
You look remarkably well for a dead person.
Etza, we meet again at last. Tell me, how is my boy? How is Cheshire?
He's doing quite well.
Amber takes a long and luxuriating step towards you. As the cloak parts, you can see that Amber's wearing very sheer clothing beneath, like just a baggy white shirt and trousers, but the soft glow of its skin still seems to permeate through, leaving very little to the imagination. I understand takes another long step towards you. You have stood inside my privacy.
Well, like I said, I was operating under the assumption that you had moved on to wherever your people go when they cease to exist. And Champor being Champor, I figured anything in there would not be there for very long.
Do you often steal from the hands of dead men? Another long step towards you.
I would make the argument that the dead cannot own property, therefore it's not legally theft.
Do not concern yourself, Etzer. I'm not here to punish you or exact revenge. On the contrary, I'm here to help you, if you will allow it. Another long step towards you. Now almost standing in your personal space, still very tall, towering above you, sort of looking down. But the grace of its gaze makes you feel as if it's equal, like its gaze upon you raises you up to its level.
Very casually, Etzer is going to take his walking stick and put it in front of him, and holding on to the knob at the end, just put it down like in a smooth motion, but with a fair amount of force against it, with its metal tip hitting the ground, causing an echo to ring through the room, showing that despite its beguiling appearance, it's a much heavier, heftier, damaging object than one would believe, as sort of a subtle threat that maybe his personal space extends out to here, and you should probably not cross that threshold unless you would want to get better acquainted with his stick.
Words.
Phrasing.
There's no force stopping Amber from stepping forward closer, but it almost presses itself against this visible field right on the periphery of your personal space where you have declared it to be. Is this a threat?
Not at all. Just a reaffirmation of my personal sovereignty and inalienable rights.
Do you feel threatened by me?
Like an experienced woodsman who comes across a wolf, he is not threatened because he knows he is the master of the domain that he currently occupies. He's still not foolish enough to turn his back on a beast.
Do you think me a beast?
I think you are one of your kind, and what they are is inherently predatory.
Can I tell you a secret?
Ooh, yes, I'm quite the gossip.
You'd be right. Don't turn your back on me, Etza. I love my boy. I love him more than anything. If you threaten him, I will take from you all you hold dear, dangle it in front of your face, and have you cast it away with your own hand. Do I make myself clear?
I hear you. But I assure you, I mean no harm to Cheshire. But I say that out of the respect that he has brought forth in me through his actions and behaviors. It has nothing to do with your little display here.
Good. 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 As long as we understand each other. Now, I suppose you were skulking around down here. Do you perhaps need a hand?
Two can make quicker work of something than one.
The stories etched on these walls are from a far and distant past. Perhaps, though, they are relevant to your present.
Oh, do tell.
I am like the others of my kind. Interested in the longevity of the dreaming sea. I am less interested in those that would threaten its delicate balance. Your mission, this rebellion you hold so dear in your heart.
Revolution. Rebellion is the act of traitors and treasonous folk. Rebellions are inherently righteous. Or revolutions are inherently righteous.
Ah, I'm sorry. Revolution. Letting the wheel turn one full circle. Does not inherently endanger the balance. But certain forces are at work here in the sea that I do not wish to see brought to bear.
Forces like the sword?
Exactly. It was fortunate to find your dear captain when it did. I was fortunate to find your dear captain when I did. So drink deep the tales of this and watch your back, Etza. Don't ever tip the balance too far, one way or the other. And it steps back away from that invisible wall. This time, the long steps it takes backwards are faster, less luxuriating. It brings the hood up over its head. Did you have any questions before I went?
A few. Who left the sword in Champur and why? And where and what exactly is going on with you?
Well, you are hungry for answers. You needn't worry about me. I will always be close by, eye on things as I desire.
Yes, the sorcerer from Ysir said very similar things, and it left me feeling equally nervous.
Good. The sword was a test, and that test was a resounding success. And that threatens the balance of the sea. When you return to Champor, seek out Taka. He knows what you need to know. Was there anything else?
Yeah, why are you in this room?
That's I'm not really here at all. Turns and shimmers into nothingness.
Well, that's just spectacular.
I think we'll end the session there. Unless anyone has any pressing desire to press on.
My mind is blown. I'm having a fantastic time. Whether we stop or keep going, I'm down.
I mean, the little roleplay addict to me is like, like, it'd be good if we explored the more mysteries, but I'm also aware that Culture Shock wanted to end things earlier.
Yeah, I didn't want to keep Culture up too long.
You have to wrap up a few more things for a game I'm running tomorrow.
That's okay. We can stop there. I'm very happy with that. That's very...
Yeah.
Quick question. Why I'm in this weird, creepy, hidden basement room? Can I make an investigation roll?
Yeah, sure. What for?
Oh, I mean, to see... clearly this room has some sort of purpose.
Yeah, it's literally a story room.
Oh, okay, that's it. Just to continue. Okay.
I can cover that more between sessions or at the beginning of the next session.
Okay, perfect.
So, thoughts, feelings, desires?
Awesome. I really enjoyed that. I think the extra long session, despite the technical difficulties, it was good. We've got a huge bit of chunk of mystery and intrigue. We've got I really loved the Vorai. I didn't know what to expect when I first came to this place, and I'm still not 100% sure. Loving the amber. I mean, I could go on, but I'll let the others chime in as well, and you guys.
I've watched too much 70s sci-fi. This place seems too good to be legit. Pretty soon we're going to find out that Throwing Green is people, or Zardoz is not really a god that spits out guns.
Both as myself and as Cheshire's having a wonderful time because A, his hunger's getting satiated, and he's doing the thing that he loves to do as much as he wants. Now he has a Baron interested in him, which was initially just a ploy, But now he's going to have to figure out if there's a way to resolve this without being tied down to this location, because he can't stay here. I am dying on the inside because Elk's performance of Amber Glow I thoroughly love every minute of it. I was eating it up, as you could probably tell from my continuous back and forth to either side of the camera, shifting in my chair.
I gotta admit, that banter between Etzer and Amber Glow, that scene was just perfect. You couldn't get any more, like, it was just right? You know, it was just marvelous. I was so entertained by it. I mean,
I didn't know if you were gonna fight. I didn't know if she was gonna seduce you and make you her slave.
That's the thing. I'm like, I'm not sure I can beat you in a fight, but I'm just gonna lay it out here that I will at least wallop you in the face a few times before we go down.
It was like the savage burns you were like laying down there as well. It was like so Etzer is just like, yeah, beast, and I was like, oh snap, it's going down.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do about it? I'm like, I'm gonna be catty as fuck. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, Dandy Fourth, what do you expect? I love it. Oh dear.
Just all of the kudos to everyone for fantastic role playing and having the chemistry that we do. But uber kudos to Elk. A, for running two groups. B, for you got a basic character outline of what someone looked like in their role in a backstory, and you took that and it was a seed and it is blossoming before my eyes. It's just so good. I cannot wait to see what happens with everyone else's backstory.
I'm also
Can I tell you guys a secret? I don't know what Ash's backstory is.
Only
no!
Sarah and Ash know. It's great. It's like I'm gonna be so...
NPCs know things that I don't know.
I'm gonna drop hints. It's like a bread trail. Like it's gonna be great.
I find it a really good. I find it a really good exercise in like I'm not trying to be cagey or anything like that. Like I really in Ash's backstory. And so when he talks to an NPC who does know, who is in the know, and I have to be consolatory, but also not reveal too much because I don't want to sort of lay anything down or contradict any information that Lucky might have already come up with. But it creates these interesting cinematic scenes between the pair of them, and I just find that a really interesting interaction, and I'm happy to keep going with it. It's worked out pretty well so far.
And when I was creating this character, it was meant to be like a sort of bridge to like get the circle together and allow me to, you know, sort of fill in the gaps that may be and sort of bridge the pie and like give them transport and stuff. So I think as like this like mystery like opening up, it's really good for the story, and I'm happy that I'd like to go with that. But I will slowly but surely write some revealers and stuff as well.
You are by and far the strangest Dawn cast I have ever worked or heard of.
You know, I try.
Bar none.
Well, let's just wait until we have combat, and then I'll be able to shine, right?
You're shining all over the place.
Oh, dear.
Just, you're doing Twilight things, and you're doing Eclipse things. We haven't had a combat yet, so you haven't been able to do Dawn things.
What I really like about all of us is we've all got that sort of... I feel like we've only played 4 sessions, and already, like, I'm sort of thinking that's definitely a Cheshire thing to do. And like, oh, he's going into creepy Cheshire mode. He's like addict Cheshire mode, and then he's like spectacular, shiny, amazing, graceful Cheshire, and then we've got Etzer. It's like, wow, like it's just the way he's like maneuvering and being ahead of this conversation, and he's like already in, and he's got a plan. And he's like has the feel for the ground, and he's just it's really awesome to have that kind of thing of Furl, and the way that Elk is weaving the story. Like, I honestly just wanted like a sort of scene with the romantic entanglement to show that Ash is pretty capricious with his like romantic entanglements, and then like Elk's like, and then she's in the Lord's chamber, and it's like, oh shit, what's going on here? Uh-oh, Ash, why goes into those situations?
Ash is going to get caught in an awkward love triangle between the Baron's daughter, your first mate, and you.
Whoa. Let's not forget Adori. Gosh, what is she?
Great. I love
Okay.
Cube.
Okay, so now all we need is a transforming war strider, and we are basically playing some sort of Macross game. 'Cause we have transforming robots, a singer dancer, and a love triangle. That's all you need. That's the 3 components.
So I'm gonna do a Tsushima Umazai tea leaving expedition. I predict like in 20 or 30 episodes, it's gonna slowly shift from whatever plot and storyline it's on to like a stealth Captain Ash's harem style storyline without us even realizing it. It's got a Dory. Is what's the relationship with Seren? Who's the new person he's chatting up? Where will it end, folks?
I forget that your sword is part of your love triangle.
Gosh, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't just. Actually, I do pretty much make magical like not actual magical, but enchanting sheaths for just anybody. Clearly, I do.
What spring razor got on me?
Absolutely nothing, Adori. You and me.
So much poison.
I mean, as soon as I get some poison stuff, that spring razor is looking mighty fine.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns? Anything they want to raise?
I just want to say that obviously we had some technical glitches. We're going to try and get to the bottom of it. It's weird though. It seems to have like, I don't know, like got stable in the last. I don't know if it's like the time we were playing was when they just happened. My IPS was or Watch Together or other places were like doing weird things with their server maintenance, and that may have caused a problem because I know that that does happen, but it seems to have settled down. So I apologise for that.
Sorry.
Obviously to the viewers as well. I just can't wait to next session.
Ditto.
How are we liking this?
Mhm.
How are we liking this time slot to our usual time slot?
It's fine for me. Pretty much up to everyone else.
I mean, it works for me, but I think the big consideration is Elk because he has to really schedule and plan and pull all this stuff off.
Well, if we stuck to our regular timing, like a 3-hour session rather than how long have we been playing now? 10, 11, 12. It's 3 plus a 3, 6, almost 7 hours. If we stuck to a 3-hour session, I could do this time slot if it worked for everyone else better. And especially if it worked for our audience better, if we were playing at a time where more people would watch.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, wondering which time slots would be better, what would be good. Yeah.
I kind of like it, just because it's pretty much right after I get off of work, and if it was a normal length game, we'd wrap up around 8:30, and then I could still kind of go out and do stuff on Friday nights if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm not up at 2 in the morning, so it's good for me.
Racing to dawn.
Yes.
Yeah, the light's coming through as well. Like, but yeah, I've really enjoyed that session. Elk, is there anything you wanted to say? Any, like, are you happy with the way the story's going?
Just continuing to say, look, guys, like, I've run for a lot of groups, and I've had a lot of mix of different players. This is probably the first time a group has come together so easily and so well. But as I keep saying, I run better. I feel like I run better when I have sort of rich characters and players to play with. I feed off the energy you guys give me a lot. So if you're thinking that my running is going particularly well because he's particularly strong, it's because I'm getting a lot from you so that I can echo back to you. So props to you guys.
I kind of get the impression that we're all doing that, and we're all bouncing and off of each other and really enjoying the scenes and like it themselves. It's really good. I found it really hilarious. I kind of imagine it like, you know, in the anime where the ship's going and it's like sort of reversing and like trying to work out which way it's going. Like, is it going to shampoo or is it going to just like just make a decision? Found it like kind of like really.
It finally makes a circle before landing back into where it started.
Yeah. Oh dear. That's good.
So, I'm trying to get a gauge of how old the Baron is, and whether or not this is actually something Cheshire would want to pursue. Because monies.
Oh my god.
He's nice enough, but that wealth 5 though.
Cheshire, are you trying to?
Sorry, resources 5.
Old man double entendre feeling. Only because Cheshire is like this young boy. It just icks me out a little bit.
Yeah. That's not my preferred thing.
But the J.
Sorry.
But the J.
Gosh, there's just so many things going on right now.
And we got to remember why we're here, folks. We need food and supplies for Chira.
Yeah, we're not gonna forget it. All that this guy runs a freaking police state. Did you guys forget that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the main reasons I want to figure out whether or not, or what's causing this weird pacifism in the town. Because, I mean, people describe it as a police state, and I'm like, well, maybe everyone thinks it's autocratic and, like, regimented just because of their weird culture. Or what if he's like psychically like altering or castrating people and removing part of their personalities? My character would have major problems with that.
All this and more will be revealed when Etza reads the story room.
Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should not have helped facilitate a hookup with someone I may have to overthrow.
I mean, maybe that's how you overthrow it.
Precisely.
That's how Solar's role play.
We roll some dice, roll around in bed. Roll around in a story room.
I've just got this
You
picture.
take some sort of accuracy difficulty for moving, engaged in that activity.
So I got a feeling by the end of the next episode, we're gonna cutscene to like a town that just has no leadership as we've like took them along on a boat, and slowly but surely we're gonna round up all the leaders of the Dreaming Sea, and it's gonna be like some weird love boat cruise situation. It's gonna be, I don't know. Crazy.
It was really fun, guys. We don't currently have anyone in chat, do we?
I don't know. Who's around, folks? No. Everybody's gone to bed.
I think it's just
Random viewer that is no longer here.
that's
That was me.
That's your friend.
Oh,
Don't ask.
okay.
Made it a few years ago. Couldn't think of a name. Thought of name. Instructions unclear.
Well, I guess we can call out sign and end the stream here and have off-stream chat.
Yeah.
So
Thanks so much, everyone.
this is
Thanks,
Second
guys.
Breath. Zig's playing Cheshire, Shock playing Etzer, and the plucky hero playing Captain Ash. Let's see what comes next time. Bye.
Bye. I'm waving.